Hey, hey, hey. How you guys doing? So, I wanted to pick it up from last week. We've been talking about, how to scale up, how to get influencers, how to get corporate clients. But you guys know the routine. Those of you that are joining us, Mauricio, he's going to be sending you a panelist in case you're an attendee. Go ahead and accept that. Before we get started, I wanted to do the usual to see, who of you wants to share some wins that you've had since last week. It doesn't have to be anything huge, anything small. Waking up is a big win. I'm gonna start calling on people. Mr. Michael and Mrs. Yvonne. Anything you want to share?
Well, we got our DTG, our DTF up and running.
Nice.
Went over both machines. They're up and running. So that's a big win. And I just started today experimenting with the DTF on different substrates.
Uh-huh.
I know it's backwards, but I DTF'd a sign on a piece of wood
Oh, okay.
and it come out great.
And you can't even feel it.
Oh, that's really cool. What temperature did you use?
260.
260? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
25 seconds.
Oh, okay, that's good.
The next thing I'm going to try is I've got a plastic license plate and a metal license plate, and I'm going to try doing them too.
Yeah, that's really cool that you're, upping your game, experimenting. That's always good when you get a chance to, experiment with different materials, different, fabrics and stuff like that. So is that gonna allow you to kind of hit up different customers for like, specialty items like that? Is that the goal, or are you just trying to push the envelope?
Hey, anything that we can sell, somebody wants it, we'll sell it.
That's a good strategy right there.
And we just remodeled our entire house and we have to decorate a lot more because the way they did it, we have a lot more rooms now.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're figuring out different things we can make to decorate our house too.
So they expanded your house? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big accomplishment right there. Going through the construction phase, I'm pretty sure, it might have been a little stressful at some times, having people in your house, tearing it up. But I'm pretty sure you guys had, it's nice and finished now. You just have to decorate it.
Now, I still got about another month to go. It's been a little over 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We
Yeah.
just wanted a bathroom, dude.
That led to another, one thing led to another. Is that what happened?
Yep.
Yeah, they found mold in every exterior wall in our house.
Oh, okay. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. That's why it expanded. So it's been a long time.
Well, hopefully, you guys are rounding third base, getting to home. Especially after 2 years, a month doesn't seem that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing. Victor, I'm gonna call on you any wins. I know last week, you had filed your taxes. We had a little story about your taxes. Any big wins you have? Anything you want to share?
I paid my taxes.
Nice. If you paid taxes, something went wrong.
Yeah, sometimes I gotta do a little bit more planning in December. I should have made a purchase, but I ended up paying some taxes, and just with the buying of the house and stuff like that, there's just so many things going on. It was just overwhelming. But we're in a good place. We figured it out. We're in a good place. Everything's good. So just believe it or not, I'm already doing orders for teams that are not going to play until August. So like high school football teams, right now they're starting to place their orders for their camps and their player packs and stuff like that, and just doing the rounds and saying, hey, what do you want here? What do you want there? And I'm getting a lot of large unit orders, and so just we have to kind of always be in a position where we're not looking at today's date, we're looking at the date 3 months from now or 4 months from now. So Christmas can come multiple times a year if you plan it out correctly. So just keep that in mind. That's a big plus. And this weekend I had the two my when I say my two guys, I mean my two older boys who work for me. I'm like, we're not printing today. We're tearing apart the printing area in the warehouse, and we're just doing a cleaning from top to bottom. And so we've got all the merchandise rearranged and we put it in an order that makes more sense. And we cleaned up all the areas where we work. And so, I mean, we had to pull 65 orders the other day and we didn't even sort the orders and we had them all pulled in 15 minutes just because we knew where everything was very quickly. So like that kind of stuff, like it pays off at the end. So, those are two of my wins that I'm happy about.
Yeah, for sure. Those are definitely big wins right there. Just, giving yourself the time to reorganize. It's super important because, from my experience, you can just get caught up in the trenches. And then, when you get a little breathing room, it's always good to go in there and, reorganize and strategize. And, seems to, be working really good for you. So, thanks for sharing. Let me ask you this. What was your strategy? Because dealing with orders that are not due till August, that's really good, landing these types of accounts where they're actually organized and they have plenty of time. Is it something where you're able to pre-bill, collect up front, or are they just pre-placing the order and you're not going to be able to bill till maybe like after you deliver it?
So when I have a new client, I have them pay me up front. What I do is I create the invoice and I send an estimate in QuickBooks with all the details. They approve it, and then I convert it quickly into an invoice and I send it to them. I'm like, okay, well, you can pay this when it delivers, which is fine. I kind of front a lot of it with the customers that I'm comfortable with. Customers that come from organizations that I know, like they can't do. Like I know the foundation people, I know the people at the school. If the coach decides to ghost me, I have 12 other people I can talk to get that paid, and it doesn't look good on them. I don't threaten them with that, but I know where I am. I do get a lot of customers who come in and they like, oh, I want to do a new team and I want 25 hats and 25 shirts. I always get 50% upfront with them and just until I develop a comfort with them. Actually, right now, I feel like I'm going to be going into a little bit of cash flow stress because I have a client that does education, online education across the country, and we do all of their corporate gear. And they have a gamer division which they want to do prizes and give out stuff, but instead of paying me with credit card like they used to, they want to put me into their billing system, which is fine, but they run on a 60-day pay. So now I'm going to have to pay all this stuff and wait for 60 days and kind of be tight. I'm gonna be, invoice rich, money poor. So I will have to wait for them to pay these invoices in 60 days. But then after that, every 30 days, it starts flowing again. So I got to do it if I want to play with bigger players, and that's unfortunately the way that they do it, and I can't get them to change their way or lose the business. So
What's the estimated volume on something like that?
we don't know. Like everything's going to be POD, but they do want me to actually like carry stock. So I don't know. It could be anywhere between $1,000 a month to $5,000 a month. I have no idea because it's a nationwide gamer thing, and they just want to give out prizes like crazy. So we already created an assortment of like 6 different garment apparels, including 2 jerseys that are sublimated with numbers on the back. And so we're going to do all that stuff on demand, and just we're just going to have to take the order. Well, I'm going to give them codes. Those codes will be assigned to different departments, and then I got to invoice those departments and do it that way. So you bet and I don't have to wait 30 days to invoice them. I told them, I said, if I feel like the invoicing is really heavy after a first week, I'm going to invoice you that week. But then I still got the 2-month clock going on that one.
Okay, yeah, definitely. One of the key things I picked up right there is like if you want to play with the big boys, some of them have their own billing, their own accounting. It reminds me of one of the agreements that we're currently working on for print on demand as well. It's for I'm not gonna name any names, but it's like they're expanding into the U.S. I think I've talked about it. Their contract is I'm gonna say. They say it's industry standard, but I think it's a little gangster. It's like the same something similar, 45 to 60-day payout, for print on demand. If it's something happens where you screw up an order, you have to refund the retail monies, not just the printing. So it's like all these little booby traps. but it's kind of like, it's the name of the game. You want to expand, you want to deal with these different organizations. And so it's kind of like one of the things that I like to talk about is when you're starting out, yourself, you want to have your set process and you're not going to let customers change that. But then it gets to the point once you scale up and you're dealing with bigger organizations, each of them might have different billing cycles, especially, I'm not sure your experience, Victor, with dealing with schools. It seems like a lot of them have like net 60, net 90s. If you're lucky, a net 30. Even more lucky, they'll actually pay you upon delivery. What's your experience with dealing with schools?
Well, my schools is when I deal with schools, it's rarely with the district because the district doesn't have funds. It's always with the foundations, right? And so the foundations, they don't have those kind of strict rules, at least the ones that I've encountered. So they usually pay me within, on delivery in 10 days. There was one group that I had to like pester for a while. And like I said, I knew everybody on the board. So I went to the treasurer and I went to the vice president and they finally came around and paid it. But, and that was an annoyance, but I didn't say any bad thing about it because I have to remember that the people on the board are rotating, right? So if I have to deal with her for another year, someone else will be gone. She'll be gone. I'll deal with someone else, and I still have the contract. So there's no reason to like do anything to destroy that contract because they didn't pay. So, you bite your tongue and you just do it. But luckily, like a lot of the schools, you'll find out that you're dealing with the foundation, and when you're dealing with the foundation, you have more breathing room. And then what I do is because I give them a kickback and because they know that they come from organizations like the districts that don't have a lot of funds, if I owe them $500 or $700, so let's just say even money, just for even dollars, I just say like I owe them $1,000 in commission. I try to get them to buy stuff for their staff. So then they have $1,000 credit that they go and buy 10 polos, again, just to keep it even numbers, right? And let's say I charge them $100 for each of those polos. Literally, those polos cost me $40. And now I've only paid them $400 for the $1,000 credit that they gave. So I try to get them to rotate that credit back into me. And then that ends up becoming another profit source in terms of how I give them money. And they receive $1,000 perceived value of product, but I only gave them $400 in actual cost of product.
That's a really good strategy right there. So for the organizations that you work with, you give them like a commission. Is it they bring you in more business and then you give them a commission based on that business that they're bringing you? Is that kind of what you have structured?
So by giving them a commission, you actually make them a partner in the organization, right? If I say, hey, school X, I'm going to make this catalog for you. I'm not charging you for the site. I'm not charging you for producing the products. And I'm going to give you commission for everything you sell. Then they're incentivized to sell. I am no longer become a selling department. So I'm not worried about the Facebook ads and the Instagram ads and the PPCs and all that stuff. They do that. And I'm like, hey, you want a bigger check? You got to go out and start, handling your parents. And it's a targeted group. Like, no, these parents can't get this product anywhere else. You're someplace for Westview football. You want a Westview sweatshirt for yourself when you go to the games. You got to go, but it's up to the team to let them know, and they have a captive audience. And when it comes from the team, it comes from more of an authority in terms of the subject. So they trust them and they're like, yeah, this is the guy you go to get to. And so it becomes not only more incentivized for them. The other thing is, work it out with those teams that do custom items for parents, because sometimes parents want 20 t-shirts that have their kid's name on it with the Westview logo. And I would tell the team like, hey, I want to offer this to them. You will get final approval on all designs, but then you're also getting 15% that I'm doing all this custom job. So that works out as well.
Okay, you kind of include them in those side gigs.
Absolutely, because I respect their ownership of the logo, right? That's their logo. If I'm going to start doing side deals and not paying them for that, then that's stealing.
Do you charge them for those graphics, or is it something that you just do it yourself and you give them the rights to it?
No, I don't give them the rights. They don't get the final art. I just do the work for them. To be honest, most people don't want some elaborate full chest 25 color design that has a unicorn, that stuff. Like you don't have to do all that. They just want the school name, the logo, and their kid's name underneath. Boom, 30 seconds, I'll do that. And I'll say, this is what it looks like. And they're like, can you make the letters black? Yeah, sure, done. And then that's it. So if I start tacking on like, oh, it's a $20 art charge, or there's a 3.5% credit card fee, or all that stuff is those are like walls for them to get it done. You just give them a final price. It's a price that they would normally pay for a t-shirt. So, you would think, oh, well, this t-shirt, if you go somewhere else, it's going to be $35. You're right. I'm going to charge you 22, right? Or 25, because the art took me very little. But then again, I don't have employees doing all that stuff, right? I don't have that overhead. I can do A to Z. So it's very quick. And I know my time is worth something, but I can do it very quickly and efficiently. And I feel like I gain out of that. And then those people, you believe it or not, they've taken the stuff to their companies, and then I do work for their company. So now I do it for a local dentist shop whose son used to play soccer. And so I do all of his apparel as well. So it's all marketing.
Oh, that's really good. Really good strategy. I remember in one of the locations that I was in, next to me was an embroidery shop, and all they would do was, the embroidery for universities. And I remember talking to the owner and be like, yeah, we actually have sales, like student sales reps that attend, different universities, and we land the contracts with like the clubs, the fraternities, the sororities, and all that stuff. So it seems like you have a good strategy right there, having these, these pretty much like your sales reps, right? They're out there, they're the ones that are promoting it. And it seems like, what decoration methods are you using for this kind of stuff, like the on-demand stuff that you're doing?
Depends on volume. Like if it's, if it's, we only do DTF as our primary, and then we have our embroidery machines and we do sublimation. But if it's a couple hundred pieces, we'll just do DTF. If it's 1,000 or 2,000 pieces, we'll do screen printing. It depends. It depends on what our schedule looks like and how much we have to do. So we're flexible. And like I said, I don't have screen printing machines here. I partner up with people who have screen printing machines. So, there's a budget for labor and for printing films and for pressing them. And that budget can either, move into a screen printing budget. So that's how we price accordingly.
That's really good. One of the key things that I heard you say, and it's one of the things that we've been talking, for the past 3 to 4 weeks, is, having a team, having a network, having that relationship with the screen print shop. I'm pretty sure you've had that relationship for a while. It's like, they're flaky. I'm pretty sure they're solid. You trust them. How many do you have, like one main screen print guy, or do you have a couple different companies you deal with?
I have one main one that's here in San Diego that delivers to my house. So it kind of, when you buy that many blanks, it's free delivery to the screen printer, and then he just trucks it over to my place for like $100. So it's like nothing. And so I have one locally, and then I have some in the East Coast and the West Coast, just because the companies that I partner with, they do merchandising across the country and they have access to screen printers. So I just piggyback off of there. So I don't have to have all the relationships myself. It's also good to have relationships with people who have relationships, because then and like the guys that I work with in LA, they're like, yeah, that's the screen printer. He's not asking me for commission on using the screen printer. He just like, here, yeah, use them, because we're all one family and we all help each other. So when they need stuff from me, like, oh, can you do some art for me? Yeah, I do it here, and I send it. I don't even invoice them. So there's a lot of exchange doing that. So building that network is important. Like one of the things that we do, this finisher mug that I've shown many times, where we put the person's time and stuff on it and their bib number. And I created a business plan where I need $21 for every single mug sold. And that includes shipping the mug, right? So that includes the mug, making it, shipping it, the box, the whole deal. So $21 is what I need to make it. And so now I've contacted these people who know all these race directors. And I told them, like, hey, this mug sells for $30. We do it all day. And then they go to each race and says, oh, well, I've got a $9 profit that I can make off of this mug. Hey, race, I'll give you $4. I'm going to keep $5. And then everybody's happy, right? So as long as you know what your costs are and you can bundle it up and you can actually repeat it over and over again, have people go out there. And I've already picked up 4 races. We picked up the San Francisco Giants run. We picked up this one in Texas. I forgot, it's Cowtown, I think it's called. And so like other stuff. And so they're doing all the work and we're just doing what we do is just produce the product. So I like to leave the marketing to other people because there's just too many things to do. But you have to at least market to those smaller groups of people who then take it out and preach for you, if you will.
That's really cool. So you're saying that you do mugs with like for races that has like their bib and like the time that they did it in?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you one right here. I have a sample.
I'm gonna have to get one of those made.
So this is the Big Sur Marathon. And so that's their logo. And then it has their actual bib that they wore with their bib number and their name. And then the time is kind of it's smaller right there. It says finisher time. And then we just do all sorts of different designs. So here's another one with a bib, and that's for Go St. Louis Marathon.
Oh,
So
that's
Do you do one-offs for that kind of stuff? Like if I wanted to get one for, like we literally last weekend we did at the Dodger Stadium. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the LA Dodgers. They had their annual marathon, LA Marathon. Then they did
LA
the,
Marathon. Yeah, I helped out some people there with that.
oh, that's cool. We did the 5K. We did the baby one, sponsored by the Big Five Sporting Goods, 5K. And then my mother-in-law, she's 83 years old, and that's like her fourth or fifth one that she does. So she got third place. She was a little bummed out. She didn't get first place for her age group. She got third place out of three for her age group, so she was a little bummed out. But yeah, she did it. It was like her fourth one. She got her medal. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to get her a mug with the bib and the time. Is that something that I would need to get you the artwork, or how would something like that work?
I do a lot of work with LA Marathon, so I'd have to respect their brand. But if you give me their bib number and their time, and I can kind of come up with some generic LA logo, I would totally do it for you.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna take you up on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can barter.
There you go. I
Yeah.
need some cyan ink. So there you
Yeah,
go.
I'll give you a bushel of corn.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
So thanks for sharing, Victor. It's kind of like today we turned it into a you and me interview situation. We're gonna make you our guest speaker.
Sorry about that, but thank you. Sorry for everybody else who listened to all that.
No, that's why I keep calling on you, because you're dropping all this knowledge right there. So definitely, anybody else have anything they want to share, Mr. Ron? Any wins? Anything you guys want to share before I kind of jump in and kind of like the conversations that I've been having with Victor tie in to what I want to talk about, and that's why I always try to go back and forth with the content. So I'm not sure if anybody else has anything they want to chime in or ask for help or any questions. I think our chat is. I only see crickets in our chat unless you have the chats hidden, Mauricio. Nobody's chatting. I'm a sad panda. Okay, so what we're gonna do is that one of the things that I've been talking about is how do you get your corporate, how do you get your influencers, and Victor definitely dropped down a lot of good knowledge, a lot of good strategies, and one of the things that we do when one of the things I've been talking is like once we have our pre meetings with these individuals, we'll actually have artwork created specifically for them. And I know last week I kind of touched on how these big marketing agencies, they'll go as far as like, making full blown out commercials as part of their bidding to try to get a contract. They'll invest millions of dollars just to try to get a contract. So it's kind of like Victor was saying, if you want to play with the big boys, you have to, invest some. The cool thing about it is like you don't have to invest, millions of dollars. It can literally be something as simple as creating some designs based on their social media and based on you following them and seeing the kind of stuff that they post. You can make some designs, send them to them. But what we do when we meet with influencers, we'll actually have our graphic artists, we'll have different designs that we make for them. So when they actually come down and they visit our facility, our shop, we have like already like 4 to 6 different shirts. For the most part, we'll use like a unisex t-shirt, so we'll have it laid out, so it gives them something, that they can actually grab and touch. Because when we're doing this meet and greet, like I like to call it, we're interviewing them, but most importantly, they're interviewing us because they're the ones that have the millions of followers, right? They're the ones that are going to decide ultimately who's going to, who they're going to want to work with. So it's, doing all these little things, kind of like what Victor was talking about, as, doing artwork, doing samples, things like that. So like for us, our, SOP, I feel like a weather girl right here with all the paperwork that I have. It's, it's a little sunny today. So, one of the things that we do is we also have a pre-proposal made out, kind of like just depending on the type of influencer that we're working with. We'll already have like, hey, if they already have an established, print on demand or established online, merch web store, we'll put something similar together where it's like I'll use an example for one that, they normally sell stuff for like $10 to $15 that I can tell is like pre-screen printed in bulk. I try to get as much information up front from the customer. So it's like being familiar, kind of like when I asked Victor, is like what kind of decoration methods does he use? It's the same thing when you go on a website and you're familiar with like direct to film, screen printing, DTG. You can go on somebody's website and for the most part get an idea of what they're doing. So for this specific customer, you know we're like elevating their brand, because when you go to their website it's like the same, one color, two colors, so it lets me know that they're screen printing it. They have a third party company that's warehousing everything, and it's a 3PL, logistics, which means like as soon as an order comes in they just pull it, pack it, ship it. So we knew, okay, if we're gonna try to get one of these customers and I can see what they have online, we made some really cool designs. Maybe next time I'll show it to you guys, share them. But we actually made some cool designs of, this one is in the fitness arena, so it was actually, the customer weightlifting some weights, with some cool graphics, cool color schemes. So he really liked that, and it stands out because once we added that to his website, we started getting some heavy orders just because it stood out. One thing is obviously they posted that, on their social followings and stuff like that, but it really stood out, from everything else that they were doing. So kind of touching base to what I was saying, having a proposal, it's like, this specific, let's say I'm dealing with Mauricio. Mauricio has like, a million followers. I'm like, hey, Mauricio, I see on your website, you're primarily dealing with like men's fitness apparel, everything's in the, $10 to $15 range. For the print on demand, it's going to be more like a premium, made to order. So it's something that you're going to have to, obviously brand as premium made to order. We're going to be around the $20 range. For fulfillment, it's going to be around the $15 to $17 range. So for this specific customer, they actually sell it for about $30 to $40, depending on the promotions that they have going on. It starts at like $39.95, and then they primarily use Shopify, so it's like a 10% discount plus promos that they have. So it's kind of like, they'll have a good price and they'll have the margins, and then it's the perceived value and then the discounts. So, when we met with them, we had some samples. We had already pricing for their print on demand with, fitness, like tank tops, sweatshirts, t-shirts. So we kept it super basic. We're like, hey, we're not going to do it like we're going to have like, 10, 20 different brands. It was literally like, we're going to have your premium t-shirt, your premium tank top, your crew neck, and your hoodie. Four options. That's pretty much all we have. We're not gonna be like where you go on there and be like, oh, I want an Anvil, I want a Hanes, I want a Gildan, because it just, when you're doing on-demand printing, it just overcomplicates it. And then for us, kind of like dealing with these influencers, we have like, it's called the onboarding process, right? After we develop the samples, and even we have the meeting, the proposal. We show them the samples, and let's say they're ready to roll with us. Then for these influencers, there's two ways that we go about it. For influencers, and I'll try to touch up on corporate. 239. I have Mauricio with the the time up there. So once we decide, or it's like a mutual connection, we're gonna move forward. Then there's two ways we go about doing it. One, if they've proven that they have large volume, they have a lot of followers, we'll literally put together the website. We'll do a lot of development on our end to get it going. Or two, we're billing them for everything that we're doing, but we're discounting it from, instead of, like, as an example, if they would have made, $1,000, like Victor's $1,000, scenario, if they would have made $1,000, a profit, then we start deducting like art fees, marketing, different fees like that they're we let them know up front, like, hey, we're gonna be dropping, 1 to 2 different designs a month. This is how much it's gonna cost us. This is how much it's gonna cost you for us to do that. Oh yeah, we're cool with that. We want to make sure we approve the designs and so forth. So you can pre-bill, or you can just do it part of trying to get that volume where you're like, you can blend it in. If it's gonna, like Victor was saying, it's gonna cost them his time to create art and so forth, you can always pad it in there. So there's different ways that we go about doing it. Those are the two that we choose. And the more popular for us is just pre-building them and just deducting it, because what we do, and something that we recommend, is have their credit card on file, right? So when you get you bill them weekly, you bill them monthly. What we like to do is we like to have their card on file, so our system, all the orders flow into our fulfillment via like Shopify. We have the wholesale to retail. It just bills them every week. They get the report, so it just makes it super easy to do that kind of stuff. Versus then you're dealing with a different customer, like the one Victor and I were discussing, the one where you have to front 30 days, 60 days. That's where you have to be a little bit more, I'm gonna say a little bit more advanced when you're managing cash flow. And like Victor was saying, he's invoice rich, cash flow poor. I really like that one. So it's just learning how to manage your cash flow, because once you're able to make it past those 60 days, you're gonna be constantly getting your revenue coming in. The only thing that's up in the air is, like, I like to have agreements. I like to have contracts, because what happens if for whatever reason they decide that they no longer want to work with you, you no longer want to work with them, and now you have 60 days of invoices that are unpaid. Now it's like, how do we collect payment on those? And definitely it's always important to have something in writing, an agreement, maybe even like a card on file where it's like, hey, in the event that this happens, I'm gonna bill this card, XYZ. So you always want to make sure that you protect yourself. And then for us, that's pretty much for the influencers. That's kind of what we do. And one of the things that I have on here, which is super important, is your return policy, right? We have, I call that always planning for the divorce. Victor, yeah, for sure. You have to have a prenup, right? So the return policy, that was one of the ones that came up. I'm not sure how you handle it, Vic, when you're dealing with these orders that you're doing fulfillment for. But the fulfillment, we literally gave an agreement to these influencers. We have our return policy, which is pretty much like, if you see this page, is like from here down is literally the disclaimer that they know that any claims for misprinted, damaged, defective items must be submitted within 30 days after the product has been received, right? You don't want like somebody 2 months later be like, hey, this product was damaged, but I wore it and washed it 10 times. They're like, I'm sorry, you have to return it within 30 days within its original condition and packaging, so that's part of the return policy. We also have on here, if you or your customers notice an issue on the product or anything else on the order, please submit a problem report. So it's kind of like, even the company that we're working with right now, we're in the final stages. They tell us that part of their process is that they actually ask the customers to send like pictures of they prefer videos, right? So it's a lot more it's actually better than just somebody emailing. They're actually sending pictures, a little video of what's going on. Because when you're doing print on demand, it can be like, oh yeah, I thought I was a size small, but it turns out I'm a 2X. Ha ha ha. Right? I want to exchange it. It's like, no, you should have known you're a 2x from the get-go, right? So it's like you kind of exchange print on demand, and it's having, those things in the fine print, and not necessarily on the fine print. It's just letting your customers know, so then it reflects on whatever they have on their website, because you like, we have this because I learned the hard way from experience. Because when I was starting off, it's like, oh, I want to get these big contracts. I'll just get them in there, and then I'm like, oh man, they're starting to return stuff. I don't have anything in writing. Then I have to change my policy with the customers, and so it's kind of like you learn as you go. But for us, now that we have all this experience, and decades later of printing, that's kind of the process that we have, and we kind of know what booby traps to avoid. So anybody have any questions, Miss Yvonne?
So my girlfriend is one of the parents that they do the stuff for these little league teams, and she just got in 300 jerseys for these kids. And on the back, for an adult, you usually go 4.5 inches down. Well, I think they went 5 or 6 inches down, because the numbers, once the kids tuck the jersey into their pants, you only see maybe a quarter of the number.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I've got to call her and find out, what their time frame is for turnaround, because that's not okay. That looks bad on them as the parent who dealt with this company. And also, it's not good for the company.
Yeah, we didn't do the shirts.
Yeah, no, we didn't do them, but it's a friend of mine.
Oh, the friend of you did it, or the friend of you ordered them?
Friend of ours ordered them from
A different company.
a Jersey company, kind of like Vic's kind of company, and oh my gosh, I can't imagine getting out 300 jerseys to these kids and have them, sad and all that. And the other thing I wanted to tell everybody is we were fortunate in having the opportunity to test out some of the new transfer paper and the white ink. And just so everybody knows, it is flawless. It is amazing. You pull that, it's hot peel. As soon as it comes off, you peel it. I mean, sometimes you get that graphic that you can really feel. You can't feel anything with that new transfer paper.
Yeah, I agree. I really like it. Benny, your sample is on its way. I know you're staring at me. Where's my sample? Where's my sample? It's on its way. Let me silence my.
Are these sheets or
So will
rolls?
this be with the new ink?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
What we got was a roll, Vic.
Oh yeah, it's with the new. It's the roll to roll printer. It's a new transfer paper.
So no love for the TX pluses?
no
Okay.
love. You could
See how it
probably
is.
I'm gonna look into it. You could probably buy a roll and just like cut it as you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I see Vic sitting on the floor watching TV, cutting his sheets.
Come on, Edgar, you can do better.
You know what? I'm gonna tell Walter to send you some sheets, some samples, Vic, right? So then that way you can print them on your free jet, because it's I really like it, because before, the ones that we had, and we're always testing new stuff in our fulfillment, right? And yeah, I personally test them out. It's literally, as the heat press goes up, it literally falls off, right? And then you give it the. And one trick that we do is that we actually have like a little mesh. It's almost like a tote bag fabric-y looking thing that we give it the second press with that fabric, and it gives it a more of a natural look to the transfer, because it almost looks like the pattern of the shirt, right? Versus pressing it with the transfer paper. It just the feel is better, the way it peels is better, everything's
Yeah, our sample was quick because Juan was here doing he was doing maintenance to our machines, and he also was teaching us the new stuff they put on our i2. So
Okay.
it was mailed so that it was here for when he was here.
Victor
Oh,
just
Vic, big thumbs up.
Will it work with my ink though?
I literally just emailed you right now, right? Email me a file, and then that way we can do a test and shoot it your way.
Just
14.
use the same one you did last time with the Westview one in the gold.
How many of those do you want?
Well, you're gonna do my work for me? Hold on, let me find a big order. Hold on.
Reply to the email with the file, yeah, and then whatever you need, and then I'll have them send you some, like, part of the film, right? Maybe you can I'll have them cut it, and then you can test it. I'm not sure if it should work on with the inks and stuff like that.
Here,
know-
you could charge me for it, but I'm gonna send you this file. I want 36 of them.
Yeah, email it.
All right.
Now, he did bring us one of each of the new inks, and I'm not sure if the old inks work with the new ink, the new paper. So check with Juan, Edgar.
If you're talking about the free jet ink on the paper, or you're talking about because the thing that changed.
DTF.
Yeah, the thing that changed mainly was the film. So it should work with this. I'm not sure if you're talking about mixing the inks, or you're talking about just the different inks working on the film. Because the film the film should work fine. Like, you can just print on it and it should work fine. But that's a good test. That's a good test for Victor to send them some sheets, and see how a little R&D right there.
I just sent you the
Yeah.
file.
So I just shot it over to Walter, Vic.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
They have an event that they in LA in a couple of weeks, and they want me to do a bunch of shirts for them. So,
Okay. Yeah, we'll take care of it. No worries.
all right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You can just give me like 12 LA Marathon mugs.
You got it. Throw in some cyan, and we'll call it even.
Oh, okay. Those kind of authorizations are above my pay grade.
Just say it's for Victor. That's all.
Okay.
Just say it's for Victor. Don't be specific.
Don't specify the last name, right? Just be
Right.
like,
It's for Victor. And we'll pick it up next week. I think we covered, 3 weeks later, we finally got through like what I have for the influencers, and I still have a lot of stuff for the corporate stuff. But in the time that we have left, there's like general tips across the platforms, and then we'll go into the actual, content next week. But the tips is like a personalized outreach. When reaching out directly, always personalize your message. Mention specific work you admire. Yeah, that's a good one. Mention good things that you admire that they've done, right? Consistency is key. This is like, what we're gonna be touching on next week is, when you try to get these customers via like LinkedIn, Instagram, those kind of strategies, being consistent, regularly update your social media profile with fresh content, engage regularly. One of the things is that I recommend is on LinkedIn is just, I think if I'm not mistaken, Ma, you get up to 500 connections a week of just like request connection. I would strategize that, to try to make connections in your area, in your state, in your even nationwide. There's a lot of people that I connect with, and you just kind of, they don't have to be, it's kind of like you're building your long-term strategy with LinkedIn. Because there's a lot of companies and there's a lot of people on LinkedIn that annoy me, where it's like you'll connect and then the first message they send you is like, hey, who do you use for this? Would you like to try us? And it's like right out the gate, they're already pitching you on that. So definitely, for LinkedIn, it's the long game, build the relationship and so forth. But that's a little bit of what I wanted to share. And then next week we'll go more into it. So thank you guys for tuning in. I definitely appreciate all the feedback. Vic, nice chatting with you. Always dropping some knowledge for everyone. Really appreciate it. Michael and Yvonne, so we'll take care of the stuff that we talked about. I'll get you some of those samples. Anybody else wants to reach out to me, my email's on there. Don't be shy. I don't bite. I'm here to help you guys out. Other than that, thanks for tuning in. and we'll pick up on next week. And then hopefully next week, Mauricio will have some good pump up music for us. And you guys have a good one.